This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. Today we're going to be talking about some Saltzer health updates, the Supreme Court ruling on Idaho's ban on gender-affirming care, aviation history, some outdoor-related things, and so much more. Our first story of the day is St. Alphonsus rescues some Saltzer health facilities. This comes by several sources. In a surprising turn of events, St. Alphonsus Health System has thrown a lifeline to several Saltzer health facilities. This deal made will see St. Alphonsus taking over the management of 2 urgent care centers and the 10-mile ambulatory surgery center, even as Saltzer Health closes its doors after decades of serving the community. The urgent care centers, located in South Nampa and Meridian, will undergo a brief closure to allow for the installation of St. Alphonsus's IT equipment and electronic medical record systems, with plans to reopen in May. Meanwhile, the ambulatory surgery center will continue to operate without interruption under its new ownership. Odette Bolano, president and CEO of Trinity Health West Region, expressed enthusiasm for the collaboration, emphasizing that patients can expect exceptional and accessible care close to home. The acquisition marks the latest chapter in Saltzer Health's tumultuous history, which has seen multiple changes in strategy and ownership over the years, including a failed attempt by St. Luke's to purchase the company in 2012. While the financial details of the deal remain undisclosed, the move by St. Alphonsus ensures that a piece of Saltzer Health's legacy will endure, serving the healthcare needs of the Treasure Valley community. And speaking of healthcare, we have Idaho's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth reinstated by the Supreme Court. This also comes by several sources. In a significant development, the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed Idaho to enforce its ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth, reversing the decision of lower courts. The Vulnerable Child Protection Act, H-71, which was drafted by the Idaho Family Policy Center and sponsored by Representative Bruce Skog and Senator Lori Den Hartog, punishes physicians with up to 10 years in prison if they provide hormones, puberty blockers, or other gender-affirming care to individuals under the age of 18. The law, which was initially scheduled to take effect on January 1, 2024, had been temporarily blocked by U.S. District Court Judge Lynn Windmill on December 26, 2023, pending further court review. However, Attorney General Raul Labrador appealed the preliminary injunction to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the 6 conservative justices have now allowed the law to be reinstated while litigation continues at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Idaho Family Policy Center has expressed gratitude to Attorney General Raul Labrador and their national partner, Alliance Defending Freedom, for their efforts in defending the law. They remain confident that the Vulnerable Child Protection Act will ultimately be vindicated in the courts. As the legal battle continues, the organization has called for continued prayers and support for the law's implementation. And continuing with the legal side of things, we have Idaho governor signs House Bill 538, banning compelled pronoun use in schools. This again comes by several sources. In a move that has sparked both praise and criticism, Idaho Governor Brad Little has signed House Bill 538 into law, effectively banning the compelled use of preferred pronouns in the state's schools. The legislation, by Representative Ted Hill from Eagle, grants protections to public employees, including teachers, who refuse to use a student's preferred name and pronouns that do not align with their biological sex at birth. Under the new law, which takes effect on July 1, teachers are prohibited from referring to a student by their preferred name or pronoun without parental consent and are given the right to sue their district if disciplined for non-compliance. Supporters of the bill, such as the Idaho Family Policy Center, have lauded the governor's decision, arguing that it safeguards educators from adverse employment actions for using biologically correct pronouns. However, opponents, including the American Civil Liberties Union of Idaho, have raised concerns that the law could enable teachers to misgender transgender students and potentially violate anti-discrimination statutes intentionally. With the passing of legislation this session, Idaho continues to be a battleground in the ongoing debate over LGBTQ+ rights and parental involvement in education. Hey, if you're enjoying the Midweek Report, do us a favor and hit that like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. It helps us reach more folks who love Idaho, just like you. And continuing with the legal theme of this episode, we have House Bill 617, ending Idaho's controversial needle exchange program. This comes from the Idaho Freedom Foundation by Nicholas Kleinworth. Idaho's House Bill 617, which repeals the state's 5-year-old Syringe and Needle Exchange Act, marks a significant victory for conservatives who have long opposed the controversial program. The Needle Exchange Program, part of Idaho's harm reduction efforts, aimed to reduce the transmission of blood-borne diseases and connect drug users with rehab services. However, the program faced criticism for its lack of accountability, transparency, and effectiveness in achieving its goals. The repeal of the Syringe and Needle Exchange Act is a positive step for Idaho, as the program has failed to fulfill its promises. Instead of providing a path to sobriety, the program effectively created a government entitlement for free-to-use drug paraphernalia, with an average of 972 new needles distributed to each participant in the first 2 years. Moreover, the program failed to control the public's exposure to used needles, with 93% of the exchanged needles returning to the streets. Conservatives argue that subsidizing drug abuse will not solve the underlying problem of addiction, and that the focus should be on promoting stronger families and communities to support those struggling with addictions. And now, moving from bills passed to bills for facilities, we have the future of ITD's former State Street campus, Governor Little's response. This comes from the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. The Idaho legislature recently passed 2 budget bills, House Bill 770 and House Bill 726, which include intent language aimed at halting the sale of the Idaho Transportation Department's former 44-acre State Street campus. The property was set to be sold to a group of developers, including Hawkins Companies, the Pacific Companies, and FJ Management, for approximately $52 million. Despite the narrowly passed bills becoming law, Governor Brad Little has taken a passive stance on the matter. In his transmittal letter, Governor Brad Little expressed his concerns about the intent language, stating that it, quote, unwinds statutory policy language about how the state handles surplus properties and increases overhead for office space needs around the state. He also noted that the cancellation of the agreed-upon sales proceeds could cause future reputational risk for the state of Idaho. However, the governor stopped short of vetoing the bills, allowing them to become law without his signature. The state plans to invest at least $32 million in rehabilitating the existing ITD headquarters building on the site, which has been vacant since a catastrophic flood in early 2022. The developers involved in the potential purchase are considering legal action against the state, citing governmental overreach and a violation of the state's constitution. And another bill that was signed by Governor Little was House Bill 710, balancing child protection and library access. This story comes by several sources. A topic that has been fought over a lot lately. Idaho Governor Brad Little has signed House Bill 710 into law, addressing the long-standing issue of sexually graphic library books accessible to minors. The new legislation, which takes effect on July 1st, requires public and school libraries to provide a form for individuals to request the relocation of materials deemed harmful to minors to an adults-only section. If the material is not moved within 60 days, the requester may file a civil lawsuit against the school or library district, seeking $250 and other damages and fees. While Governor Little expressed his desire to protect minors from inappropriate content, he also emphasized the need to address the broader issue of harmful content accessible to children through their phones and devices. The governor plans to monitor the implementation and outcomes of the new law closely. Supporters of House Bill 710 believe it will safeguard minors from accessing sexual content, while opponents argue that it may lead to logistical challenges for libraries and potentially invite frivolous litigation. As Idaho libraries prepare to comply with House Bill 710, they have to make the decision to either remove obscene material from libraries altogether or take on the risk of keeping them separate from children's content. And staying in the realm of schools, we have Idaho Falls School District 91 approves $4.3 million in budget cuts. This comes from the East Idaho News by David Pace. The Idaho Falls School District 91 Board of Trustees unanimously approved over $4.3 million in budget cuts during a tense 6-hour meeting on Wednesday evening. The decision came after the district experienced $4 million in deficit spending over the last 2 years, significantly reducing its reserve funds. Superintendent Carla LaOrange and Director of Finance Linnell Farmer, who both started this fiscal year, inherited the budgetary situation and faced difficult decisions. More than 60 educators, employees, and patrons attended the meeting, with many expressing frustration and anger over the proposed budget changes. While no teachers will lose their jobs, the cuts include 20 full-time personnel positions that will remain unfilled after regular attrition. The board made several exemptions to the original cuts based on feedback from principals, teachers, and the public, including reducing elementary assistant principals by 3 instead of 4, keeping I-ready, and allowing high school principals to choose which positions to keep. Despite the possibility of higher than expected revenues, the board decided to proceed with the cuts and allocate any excess funds to the district's goal of $11 million in reserve funds. Trustee Jeremy Westwood expressed hope for mending the relationship between teachers and the school district, emphasizing the need for understanding and grace on both sides. Has this show been valuable to you? Don't hesitate to share it. Your shares help us spread the word about our beautiful state. And finally, leaving the realm of politics and law, we have Idaho's aviation history takes center stage at Museum of Idaho. This comes from the East Idaho News by Rhett Nelson. On December 7th, 1941, J. Mark Hoff and Rudolph Nelson found themselves in a precarious situation after landing their L-2 Grasshopper airplane off the runway at the Idaho Falls Airport. The duo had navigated through a snowstorm, using runway lights as their guide, but ended up landing on the wrong side in deep snow, causing their aircraft to flip upside down. Uninjured, they made their way inside, only to discover that the Japanese military had just bombed Pearl Harbor, marking the United States' entry into World War II. This story, along with many other fascinating tales of Idaho's aviation history, is now being showcased at the Museum of Idaho in Idaho Falls. The Idaho Takes Flight exhibit, which opens to the public Friday, April 19, highlights the state's significant contributions to the world of aviation. From the Idaho Department of Fish and Game's innovative airborne fish planting techniques to the Red Baron racing team's record-breaking low-altitude speed achievements, the exhibit offers a glimpse into the Gem State's rich aviation history. Bob Hoff, the owner of Aramark and the son of J. Mark Hoff, has contributed numerous artifacts to the exhibit, including the propeller from his father's L-2 Grasshopper, which has been transformed into a clock. Visitors will also learn about Mark and Onita Hoff's involvement in the Civil Air Patrol and the posthumous honors bestowed upon Mark for his service. The Idaho Takes Flight exhibit serves as a prelude to the museum's upcoming main attraction, Above and Beyond, which will feature interactive displays highlighting the science and magic of flight in America. Together, these exhibits aim to shed light on Idaho's often overlooked role in shaping the nation's aviation history, offering visitors a unique and engaging experience. And sticking with the theme of snow, we have Snowpack Disparity. North Idaho struggles, South Idaho thrives. This comes from the Bonner County Daily Bee by Bill Bewley. The latest Idaho water supply report from the Natural Resources Conservation Service plants a grim picture of North Idaho's snowpack levels. While southern Idaho enjoys one of its biggest snowpacks for the second year in a row, Northern Idaho is experiencing one of its lowest snowpacks on record, with levels between 70 and 75% of the normal peak. This report also indicates that 47% of Idaho lands are either abnormally dry or in drought, with the seasonal drought outlook predicting continued drought in northern and parts of central Idaho through the spring. Despite some late-season snowfalls benefiting ski resorts like Lookout Pass, Silver Mountain, and Schweitzer Mountain, the overall snowpack situation in northern Idaho remains dire. NRCS hydrology Peter Youngblood notes that the region is not close to recovering from the drought, with the snowpack already primed and ready to run off. The low snowpack levels are expected to impact recreation, fisheries, and beyond, with stream flow projections also looking bleak. Water users in the affected basins are urged to consider the 70 and 90% forecasted stream flow volumes as the most likely scenario for the year ahead. And speaking of lakes and large bodies of water, we have McCall considers boat ramp fees at Payette Lake. This comes from the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertson. The McCall City Council is considering implementing a usage fee for the city-owned boat ramp near Mile High Marina on Payette Lake. The decision to explore this option comes as the city seeks to offset the costs of maintenance, improvements, and management of the boat ramp. Parks and Rec Director Kurt Wolf presented a plan to the council, which was met with support, although many details are yet to be finalized. The proposed fees, which could be implemented as early as July 1, would affect boaters using the ramp, one of only 2 public boat ramps on the lake. While the exact fee structure is still under discussion, Council member Mike Michezik suggested offering options for a daily fee, an annual pass, and different rates for rental companies. He also proposed penalties for those who launch without paying. The council is considering adding video monitoring and collaborating with the sheriff's department to include permit checks during boat safety inspections. The decision to implement the boat ramp fees is expected to impact both residents and visitors to McCall who enjoy boating on Payette Lake. The City Council aims to strike a balance between generating revenue for ramp maintenance and ensuring the fees are fair and manageable for users. More details on the fee structure will be presented at the second City Council meeting this month, where a vote on the matter is expected to take place. Our next story is the Boise startup aims at making summer camp planning a breeze. This comes from the Boise Dev by Anna Daly. Curio, a Boise-based startup, is set to change how Treasure Valley parents plan their children's summer activities. Co-founders Annie Morley and Kelly Hendricks, inspired by their own struggles with the overwhelming process of finding the perfect camp for their kids, have created a comprehensive, user-friendly platform that aggregates information from over 40 local organizations. By partnering with beloved institutions such as the Discovery Center of Idaho, the City of Boise, and the Idaho Botanical Garden, Curio offers parents access to hundreds of summer camp options, all in one convenient location. The platform's key differentiator lies in its commitment to providing the most up-to-date and extensive information available. Recognizing that busy parents often lack the time to navigate outdated websites and sift through countless brochures, Morley and Hendricks have made it their mission to simplify the decision-making process. With Curio's intuitive filter tool, users can easily find camps that align with their children's ages, interests, and schedules, ensuring a summer filled with fun, growth, and unforgettable experiences. As the co-founders prepare to launch their innovative service, they express their excitement about empowering Treasure Valley parents with the tools they need to make informed choices and create lasting memories for their children. Don't want to miss out on learning more about Idaho? Well, make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future content. And rounding out our last set of stories here, we have Victory Gardens and Coffee Company, a new oasis for plant lovers and coffee enthusiasts. This comes from the Boise Dev by Anna Daly. Victory Gardens and Coffee Company, a new nursery and coffee shop, is set to open its doors this May at the original Victory Greens location on the corner of Meridian Road and Victory Road. The new venture is a sister company to Victory Greens Stone and Garden Center, which has been serving the Treasure Valley since 1993 and recently relocated to Meridian and Amity Road in 2022. Owned by Jasmine Hamilton, whose parents founded Victory Greens 30 years ago, Victory Gardens and Coffee Company aims to provide a unique experience for plant lovers and coffee enthusiasts. Hamilton was inspired to create a space that combined her love for plants and coffee. The coffee shop will feature a drive-through and walk-up service, offering a variety of espresso drinks, drip coffee, and homemade organic nut milk. Food options will be added to the menu in the future. Meanwhile, Victory Greens will continue to provide bulk products, hardscapes, and large ball and burlap trees at their new location. Victory Gardens and Coffee Company is set to have its grand opening on Mother's Day weekend, May 11th and 12th, complete with a market featuring 52 vendors and food trucks. The Hamilton family is inviting the community to join them in celebrating this new chapter, promising beautiful plants, renovated grounds, renewed momentum, and lots of fun. And moving on to another restaurant we've talked about in the past, we have Caldwell's Amano embraces expansion in new move. This comes from the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertson. Amano, a Mexican restaurant in downtown Caldwell, known for its authentic flavors and accolades, which we've talked about from the New York Times and James Beard Foundation, is embarking on an exciting new chapter. The Treasure Valley's favorite is moving just a few blocks from its current location at 702 Main Street to a historic building at 802 Arthur Street, nestled on another corner of Indian Creek. Co-owner and executive chef Salvador Alamia and his wife Rebecca have decided to purchase the nearly century-old building, previously occupied by Rediscovered Books, to create a more permanent home for Amano. The new space will undergo renovations, with plans to restore original elements of the structure, accommodate more guests, and feature a patio and parking. The kitchen will be relocated to the main floor, allowing for more experimental cooking techniques and the addition of outside cooking pits for traditional dishes like birria and barbacoa. Amano aims to open its doors at the new location in early 2025, continuing to serve the Caldwell community with its exceptional Mexican cuisine. And finally, we have Fruitland Mayor Brian Howell resigns, abruptly, citing health concerns. This comes from KTVB7 by staff. In an unforeseen turn of events during a routine city council meeting last Monday, April 8th, Fruitland Mayor Brian Howell tendered his resignation, effective immediately, due to undisclosed health issues. The announcement was made by City Attorney Stephanie Bonney in Howell's absence, leaving the council to grapple with a sudden leadership change. As per protocol, Council President Carrie Peterson will temporarily assume role of mayor while the City Council deliberates on the appointment of an interim mayor to serve until the next general election in November 2025. The council unanimously voted to postpone the decision on Howell's successor to a later date, allowing time for careful consideration of potential candidates. The specific health concerns that prompted Mayor Howell's abrupt departure were not disclosed to the public or media outlets, leaving the community with unanswered questions. As Fruitland navigates this unexpected transition, residents and local officials alike are left to speculate on the future direction the city's leadership and the effect of Howell's resignation on ongoing projects and initiatives. Well, thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope that you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you liked the Midweek Report, make sure to check out the Sunday Show, where Tyler and I talk about the main stories going on in Idaho and dive into them. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email at localyocalidaho2022@gmail.com or on Twitter by tweeting us at localyocalidaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and most important stories. Thank you all for your continued support and assistance. That is all for now. I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.